I think from what you're saying, you're obviously saying that companies are not necessarily doing it the way they should be. What does analyst data show? How should they have planned? And have you seen, is the data showing any geo differences?
Yeah, well, it's funny. Sometimes you need to listen to analysts because when you compare yourself to your peers, and not even sometimes in your peers, but other industries, there's a lot of lessons learned. Not even talk about the geos, which I will go in a few minutes. So first of all, let's talk about the predictions. IDC predicts that 75% of the organizations, regardless their size, will have a comprehensive digital transformation implementation roadmap, not necessarily be fully digitalized by the end of 2023. And that prediction still stands as of today. Now, this number is up from 27%, which was a few years ago. So something happened over the last few years that the lessons learned really forced the enterprises to rethink what they're going to invest, how they set up their priorities. So this is a good thing, okay? It really became a strategic imperative. And again, supply chain and workforce, I think, in addition to the interactions, B2B, B2C, this is something that really changed the mindset, changed the priorities, and restructure the journey. So from the maturity point of view, I think the picture is a less appealing in a way. So 92% of the organizations that are already doing some level of digital transformation are at some level of maturity. So they are doing something. But if you're looking at where everybody is standing, around the half are still evaluating and planning and piloting, but it feels like we are nearing the tipping point, as you can also see from the charts in front of us. So the percentage of digital laggards is decreasing. Thank. Because
that's always a good sign.
Yeah, because it's a good sign. I think also from the consumer perspective, like you and I going to the store, going to the train, going take a flight, we see the impacts of the digital transformation, how that impact our daily lives. So this is a good thing. Interesting enough, also, the more advanced, there's a direct correlation between how advanced the enterprise in their digital journey and how big they are in terms of the yearly revenue and also the number of employees. So it's kind of obvious, but sometimes you would say small companies are easy to make changes. Not necessarily, because the costs in there, I think, are more impactful. So every change you make have the much more costs associated with it. So the big enterprises are, in a way, are easier to show the low hanging fruits and small wins, which is bringing us to the next point here. Nearly half, about 52% of organizations are currently focused on small scale projects. I don't see it as a good sign. Going back to the low-hanging fruits, how we can do something quick and something that will improve something in the short term. But I do think that there's a need of a bigger scale, more impactful projects, because at the end of the day, if you don't take those risks in a way, like thinking big, thinking broad, you are still going to be locked in, okay, I made this small change here, this small change, and it's all misaligned. Okay, so this is something that I think we need to consider when we are planning the digital journey roadmap. And another point that also worries me a bit, what about the culture?
Yes.
You really can't go on any project, a special transformational project, without looking on the processes and people that are going to implement that change. And only 28% of the respondents said that they are focusing on the culture. What do you need really to deliver those transformational projects? So I can really tell from my experience, right? We're going to our clients, we introducing in a way revolutionary ways of securing their networks coming from a startup, right? There's things that they haven't done before. They were using old firewalls. Now they're using a software that will do more than the traditional firewall. How is that possible? And if the corporate culture is very set in their ways, we do it this way, we're not doing it that way, they will not embrace that change, even if they will procure the technology, so that the new technology, new cutting edge technology will not solve the corporate culture issues. In other words, you will acquire the technology and you will fail to implement, which I also see across the customers that are not ready to embrace the change of culture, and I would say enforce the change of culture. And what I'm talking about the change of culture is, first and upmost, is reduction of complexity. You can see the bigger the enterprise, the more complex the processes, and it's understandable. However, there's a tipping point where the process creates more bureaucracy.
See, yeah.
And that has to change, because you cannot be more agile, more digitalized when you have a process that was created 20 years ago and it's basically doesn't make any sense to you anymore. It has to change.
Yes. Yes.